Hello. In this clip from our Just Do webinar, Andy Brownstein and Mark Halpert, LinkedIn experts, will show you examples of an attorney's effective use of LinkedIn posts. If you want to see more Just Do videos on law practice and legal marketing, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Andy. He has so many wonderful examples that I have cheered him on. You'll see my name on a lot of them because I am one of those conversant people who keep the conversation going. So Andy, take it from here.
Now I'm going to let you keep running the slides, so I'll have you move slides for me. So I'm starting with which to me, again, a perfect example was something I didn't necessarily think was going to be all that popular of a post. This is a post about, if you can read it, I had a couple of posts I wrote in a row, series of posts in the first, these were the last couple of months, that I entitled, Okay, First Year Associates. So this one was about that moment. And I think this is why it resonated all the time with people, that moment that every new lawyer has. Doesn't matter whether you work in a law firm, whether you're clerking for a judge, whether you went in-house, whether you went to work for the government, whatever. There is a moment, I don't know when it happens for everybody else, but it happened to me pretty quickly where you're like, holy cow, I have no idea what we're doing here. Nobody taught me anything about any of this. I thought I went to law school to learn about how to be a lawyer. And of course, you realize you don't go to law school to learn how to be a lawyer. You go to law school to learn a bunch of other stuff, like I wrote in the post, how to think critically, how to write better, how to analyze fact patterns and identify situations, research, how to concentrate. And again, the advice at the end was concentrate on that. Stop worrying so much about the fact that you don't know what the heck you're doing, and you'll be fine. I got tons of comments. I got tons of associates. I got 18,000 views, which is a lot for me. And I think the reason is it's something that happens to every single new lawyer that nobody really verbalizes. And it also shows vulnerability. Like I said, there's also a little dig in there about big fancy law firms, which was not intended to be mean, but just sort of a little ha-ha. And it's encouraging at the end. So this was a great post for me. He got a lot of pickup, a couple hundred likes and 18,000 views and this is just a few of the comments. There's way more comments than this.
One thing Andy does at the bottom, you see on the left-hand pane, he invokes names of people he is looking for commentary from.
Yeah, so it'll bring it up on their feed more, it will bring it up faster or right away or, whatever. So you can't put like 50 names in there. LinkedIn gets a little irritated with that, but I usually tag Mark in a lot of my posts because I know he'll be good for a comment. Some of those other folks are people that I've worked with in the past or work with now that I thought would appreciate it.
And then he chose 3 hashtags at the bottom just below that: Law Firm Life, Look Again, and Associates, because anybody that is on LinkedIn that follows those hashtags will see his post in their feed just by virtue of the fact that both parties are interested in that hashtag.
And my hashtag Look Again is kind of like my hashtag. I hashtag everything with that. It's like, it's not necessarily that relevant to anything. It doesn't mean much other than I'm asking people to think again, right? To think again is people, it's kind of used all the time. So I went with Look Again, which is, take a second look at something. Don't just gloss over, which is what this post was about. Don't gloss over this issue. Think about it.
And the LinkedIn coach in me is saying that you don't only have to put the hashtags at the bottom, you can
you can put them anywhere.
Hashtags in the material. And you can use about 5 to 10 hashtags now without the algorithm going bananas on you. And we've found that to be the case recently. So if somebody told you before you can only use 2 or 3 hashtags, that's kind of old material now. So,
but don't use 20.
Okay.
Yeah, you can move on from there. So this post was about what I call something that lawyers, there's a lot of people that post about this on LinkedIn. It's kind of that life lesson, which I guess the other post was a little bit like that, but it's again, talking about the idea of work-life balance. And I took a contrarian viewpoint here, essentially. I basically said there's no such thing. And I really do believe that there's no such thing as work-life balance. Work-life is a continuum. It's like a pendulum, like a grandfather clock that swings back and forth. Every once in a while, it goes right through the middle, but doesn't stay there very long. You're almost always moving back and forth between one or the other. It's a little bit of a piece of, non-conventional wisdom. It's a life lesson. And it's a story, right? I mean, I tell you, I'm telling a story about me. I'm being vulnerable. I'm talking about how I have a problem with work-life balance, just like everybody else. And I didn't try and solve it. I mean, my point is there is no solution to the work-life balance question. The only solution is just keep paying attention to it and knowing that whatever's happening today or this week, it's going to swing back the other direction. All it takes is somebody getting sick at home or a client calling with a crisis, and it's just going to move back and forth all the time. And I think again, it's resonating with people because people don't want to talk about it a whole lot, or people, thankfully we're getting better at stuff like this in modern society about, mental health and work-life balance and all these issues. But it's still, in some cases, for people of a certain age, it's not a comfortable topic. And so talking about it, opens people up to having a conversation that might actually benefit them.
Yeah, you don't know where it's going to resonate. You don't know who's going to send it on to somebody else. Hey, you need to take a look at this. Andy's onto something. Maybe you could learn something from what he's saying or solve.
Interestingly enough, both the last post and this post both had sentences that basically said, "Stop worrying about it so much." Mm-hmm. Right. I was telling those first-year associates not to worry about the fact that they didn't learn anything about what they're actually doing in law school. And I'm telling people in this book, don't worry about having work-life balance. Just be cognizant that balance is a myth and that you're just going to swing back and forth. So this post was a pretty good popular post. I over hashtagged it at the bottom probably, but it encouraged people to make real useful comments as opposed to just saying, "Hey, I really appreciate what you said. It really resonated with me," or "Thanks very much." I started out by, again, being vulnerable. I'm not so great at productivity. I'm not a master at time management. I'm lousy at it. Everybody else is, probably better than me at it. But I do have a few tricks that I like to use. And so I thought, well, why don't I talk about some of those tricks that I do use, and we'll see what other people think about those tricks. And I encourage them with a call to action at the bottom, like Mark always encourages, to say, "Hey, tell me what yours are." And so I learned something, and everybody else did, hopefully too.
Great. And I love the way people come up. They took your material and they added one on top of that, or one idea or a sub idea on top of yours. So it becomes this conversational volleyball that goes back and forth.
Right. And so you'll see a comment, one of them I liked, I talked about the idea of being a ruthless unsubscriber. Right. And so this lady who always comments, and we comment on each other's stuff, Emily Stedman, we could start a club, those who ruthlessly unsubscribe. I thought that was funny. All right, so everybody likes to talk about Agnes. This is one of my favorite posts. So just to show you, Agnes is no myth. Here she is, right here. So I wrote a post about my stapler. Like, why would you write a post about a stapler? As I said in my comments, Laura, if you're allowed to love your own posts, I don't know if you are. I love this one. But it's a story. It's a story about me and my career and the things that have happened to me, and but I eventually flipped it to a business concept that was relevant to people, right? The idea that I would be so dedicated to my Bostitch B5B stapler reminded me of a book I had read years ago by Ken Blanchard called Raving Fans. Like, I'm a raving fan, right? Everybody knows this. Like, how many of us have had the really irritating experience of using a crappy stapler? This is a great stapler. Is it important? Is it a real big deal in your life? No, but I guarantee you, if you read this post, you're like, yeah, I've had that happen, man. I can't take it when that stapler doesn't work right. It really picks me up, right? And then I had a little cheeky finish for all of those of a certain age who love the movie Office Space. There's the scene with Milton so I made it clear that, hey, there was also the famous swing line red stapler that Milton was so obsessed with in the movie. And anybody who saw the movie, we didn't post the comments here, but there's tons of comments about not just staplers, but all kinds of office supply stories about how people love their mechanical pencil, that this particular mechanical pencil or whatever it is. And all it is just being fun and memorable.
Just below the pictures, you see Andy invokes Land America Lawyers title, the company, in his post. At the top of the next column, you see he also invokes Global Realty Services Group, GRS Group, and just below Green Herlocker, his firm.
All places I ultimately stole this stapler from.
so they can follow you.
Right.
What this will do is anybody who follows those companies on the company profile page will also see this wonderful little tidbit that he wrote. And it just adds a little levity to the normal company profile page on LinkedIn. And it's just fun. So there's a degree of having fun and a degree of having serious fun here too. So good job on that, Andy. I was glad you did that.
Yeah, let's hear more comments. So we did actually, you can see all the crazy comments that we got. I mean, anybody who's interested, you can look back and see yourself. There's all kinds of, some other guy talking about a stapler, the Rexel Matador stapler, and white out liquid and all this other stuff. And just great comments.
It went for days. It was hilarious. It was great. Okay, the PS.
Now this is the one you love. This is your favorite.
I love this one. You're right.
I don't know who on the call and where they're from, but if you're from the South, Texas, Southeast, you know about Buc-ee's. So like I love Buc-ee's. I love everything about it. It's in a weird way, it's kind of like everything that's good about America and everything that's bad about America all in one place. And Mark, because he's from the Northeast, doesn't even really, I don't know that he's actually ever been to a Buc-ee's yet, even now.
I haven't even heard of it until you introduced me to it.
Right. There you go. So again, just a fun, weird little, as I said, kitschy post. Anybody who's a Buc-ee's fan, look, they're all commenting about what they love about Buc-ee's. If you don't know what Buc-ee's is, it's like somebody took depends where you are in the country, so I'm not sure how to make a reference. A Circle K or a 7-Eleven or a Wawa, and put it on steroids and merged it with a Target. It's like this enormous gas station convenience store with like 120 gas pumps and a massive store attached to it. Anyway, we don't have to go further. It's just fun. Like people are going to remember this. They're going to remember you. It doesn't mean you have to show people every day that you're the best lawyer in the world at whatever it is you do, but they need to remember you, right? And I remember I had a boss one time who said, I don't care what they say about me as long as they spell my name right. Now, I don't know if I 100% believe that, but he was making kind of the point that we're sort of making here, right? What's important is to be memorable.
Well, this was worth going back to, folks. It's just great fun. So take a look at it on his profile page.
All right, so here's a real law post, right? I mean, I hadn't even focused. I mean, you'll notice that we've done 5 of these already, and I haven't even once talked about the law, actual law. So here's one that is actual factual information, but it is also about how to think through why the factual information might be important to you. Why do we do the things that we do in certain areas of the law? This is a particular post about something that startups might need to be thinking about. And as I said in my commentary in the bullets, I talked a lot about not just the actual mechanics, but why you might want to do what we're talking about. Not just, what the agreement actually is that we're talking about, founder stock restriction agreements.
And there's a really good call to action on the second column, just before the hashtags. If you're interested in learning more, please contact me.
And also a teaser in the front to say, look, I didn't tell you everything about founder stock agreements. I can't, right? There's more to know.
And the reason the call to action is so important is we go so fast and we are so attention deficit right now that we might not even think to call Andy for more information. We just keep moving.
And I want to quickly point out that there's a bullet here that we wrote afterwards. This was originally a blog post on our website. And what I did was it was too long to be one LinkedIn post. So since we had already written the content and we already had it, we cut it into 2 halves, created some intro language and some transitional language. And then we've made it like a 2-day post. I posted one day and one the next day.
Yeah, and serialization of posts is great, folks, because you really get people invested in what's coming up tomorrow, what's coming up by the end of the week. I've done 5 and 7 day posts of serials, and they just keep adding to the information. People follow them, they send them out. It's really quite amazing. And no one's doing this. Another differentiator is a one-shot deal for most people. Serialization is a really great tactic.
There's some people I know, and Mark knows, for instance, a guy that we both know well, who has a podcast, and he takes cuts cuts up his podcast into little 30-second, 60-second chunks and reposts them as LinkedIn posts or as Twitter, as all over social media. And so that's really valuable. I mean, not that we all need to do podcasts, but my point is we've all written articles or blog posts or some other piece of content. You've got stuff you can repurpose. So just think about repurposing that in a way that's helpful.
Exactly. And then when you're repurposing, you'll probably just add a little bit to it to make it that much better. That's where we're going here.
You see a lot of posts. I'll comment first by looking at the bullets on the right. Like you see tons of posts that say, this law firm's pleased to announce that our lawyers did X, or that I did X, or we closed this, or we won this case. Aren't we great? Okay, that's fine. But it isn't, there's no hook. It's nice. I'm not sure how much people really care or if they're really going to dig into it. But, it's okay to do it. I think it's better to do it in a different way. This is a super tiny post. It's 100 words. All I did was say, basically, I had a good day, right? We closed a big deal. And then in the evening, I drove out and did a hearing with a client on a renewable energy project. Okay. I was just talking about how it made me feel. Felt good about it, right? Some days stink. Some days are a slog, or, you're not happy about them. Anybody who thinks their job is great every day, more power to them, but most of us don't feel that way. So it's okay. If you had a good day, why not say so? Frankly, if you had a bad day, it's okay to say so. Be creative about it. Say something positive if you can about it. But don't just say, hey, don't tell your law firm to post, hey, we won a case of this case or that case. I'm not sure if that people care that much.
And you see in the third line, he calls out Claire, and on the fourth line, Jared, just to thank them. They were probably not expecting that. And so they came in and read their LinkedIn, hey, you've just been mentioned in Andy Brownstein's post. Well, they want to know what's been said about them. And they, I'm sure, thanked you profusely for just taking the time. That's a great tactic.
I'm not sure how many more we have, but I do want to leave time for questions. Do you recall how many more we have after this?
I think there's one or two. I can't see the
Okay, so let me go quickly. I'll go quickly here. Here's one, again, showing vulnerability, admitting that I didn't know a particular subject matter. It celebrated a good deed. I didn't know something about a particular subject. I know something about this subject matter, but I didn't know a lot. I didn't know enough. So I looked around, did some research, and I called a friend, basically, and said, hey, here's my issue. What do you think? They're a lawyer at another firm. They arguably have no reason to help me, but they had no hesitation about just jumping in and giving me their thoughts. And so I couldn't talk about it in detail because obviously there's client confidentiality involved. I didn't name the person. I didn't want to do that. I just said, here's what I did. And then I gave super life lessons. One, it's okay to ask other people. You're not going to look stupid. They're going to appreciate that you think they're expert enough that you would want to call them. They'll be flattered. Secondly, do the same for somebody else if they ask you.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more law practice and legal marketing videos. See you in our next clip.